Cool. Well, let's do it. We'll kick this off here and I'll uh I'll kind of start the I'll kind of kick us off. I'll start with some sharing and we'll get right in, but appreciate everyone joining. We're super excited to be hosting this. We've got Jason here with us from the Tupperware brand and we're super excited to have him and we'll give him a proper introduction here in just a second, but yeah, super excited to kind of be talking through this subject. My name's Logan. I work in product here at Corso, and we've been busy, working on the registration side, warranty side. We've been working really closely with Tupperware on a lot of this in the last few months, and there's been a lot of cool progress and things. And so, in having conversations with Jason, we find that this is an area that is fun to focus on. We have some unique offerings and products and ways to kind of solve some problems on the brand side, and so we're excited to kind of show some of that stuff to everyone here, and we'll kind of get into this here. So I think to start, like really just kind of high level agenda of what we're looking to do here, about an hour. It's going to be very casual on our part, to be honest with you, which is nice. It's better to be a little more casual, I think. So we'll go through. I'll frame this up a little bit for us, and then the biggest and bulk of this meeting is going to be primarily chatting through things with Jason and kind of the Tupperware brand story. So, it's, kind of what they needed, what they were looking for as they were kind of shopping. Jason kind of spearheaded that from the Tupperware brand side. How rollout went, just, we'll have kind of questions down. We'll kind of host and kind of go through that with Jason in that part. Then we'll kick into kind of a product demo. So you'll see a little bit of, get some understanding of, obviously the registration and warranties and how Tupperware is handling that. And then I'll do like kind of a high level overview of a few newer features that we've rolled out within registrations and warranties. And then we'll also kind of, do a general overview of registration, warranty, some of the functionality, how it all works, and kind of some of the ways that we're solving some of those problems. And then time permitting, we'll have a Q&A. So if you can, if you have any questions, we have a handful that were submitted already that we'll kind of review. If you have any other questions that come up, you have them now, or they come up while, throughout the webinar, feel free to, just chat them in. We'll review them. We'll try to answer them, time permitting at the end. And then, we'll close and we'll make sure that there's a link available for people to be able to kind of go out and schedule time with myself and we can kind of talk through. I'd love the chance to talk through any of the things we've reviewed today in the call with anyone. And then also, see what we can do to maybe help you out in any of these types of, registration and warranty type flows. So kind of like, yeah, just to kind of frame this whole section here, I think, registration and warranties, is something that I think it's a little bit unique, right? Corso does a lot of things. We cut our teeth on shipping protection. We moved into kind of returns and exchanges, but we also spent a lot of time building a warranties platform from the ground up, kind of viewing it in its own right. Building, we see warranties and returns very differently. And as part of warranties, you see the retail side of things being, or purchases made outside of a typical Shopify order, in a way that you don't have a lot of information as a brand. And so that was a problem that we set out to solve, and we've built out a full suite of products and features within registration. So the ability to be able to say, great, things are being purchased maybe outside of my store. How do I handle that? And then how do I allow my customers to have a good experience to not only register their product, maybe we incentivize, we want to kind of, promote registrations to our customers and then give them a great path to also being able to warranty those products that were potentially purchased outside of Shopify, or purchased on Shopify, and having that all in one cohesive platform. So you're able to pull those registrations in. Great, you can collect that information. You can then market to those customers, but then you can also manage the warranties in a really effective manner within one platform. So there's a lot of the kind of the problems we set out to solve with this, and I think you'll see a lot of the ways that those problems are solved with Tupperware and their unique problems here. And so obviously that's kind of the bulk of this, but just a general kind of high level overview of registrations, how we see those. And so excited to kind of get into this next part. So I'll kick it over to Dallin here. I think he'll kind of run meeting Jason. We'll do like a little intro here. We'll let him, kind of go through this.
Yeah, thanks, Logan, and thanks, Jason, for attending this with us. And we've been working on this implementation of the Tupperware solution for several months now, so it's great that it's in, live and working for you. Just a little bit of myself. I'm the head of product here at Corso, and prior to this, I have had some e-com experience. I worked at a company called Registria, and they were primarily a registration platform, mostly working with brands that their business was all retail. So it's, a different problem to solve when your customers aren't coming from, your online Shopify stores, which, obviously a lot of our customers have a mix of both. Um, but I learned a lot about the registration warranty process through, working with customers like Cuisinart and LG and Whirlpool, a lot of those big manufacturer companies. So when I met Jason, I was really excited to work with him in Tupperware, to kind of solve some of these problems. It's a topic that's have some experience in, and I really like. So I really like some of the things that we've done over there at Tupperware. But yeah, Jason, why don't you introduce yourself, and then we'll just jump into some questions about your experience so far.
Sure. My name's Jason Carrigan. Thanks everyone for attending. If there's ever any questions, don't hesitate to interrupt. Tupperware has been a fascinating story. I was brought in several years ago. I had worked with the CEO before, and she asked me to lead global e-commerce. At the time, we were operating in 78 countries, and Tupperware has made financial headlines for a while. So you can go back and see some of the dramatic history of Tupperware. Long story short, we sold it to new owners in late 2024, took it through bankruptcy, and since January 1st, 2025, we've been rebuilding the company, with significantly fewer resources, a lot of systems and processes that were in place in the past were either immediately sunset or transformed. And so we're in the process of taking a company that was operating at a loss for 10 years, I think, and it's all public information, and building a profitable business. So that means every system and every process has to be questioned, worked through, new technology applied, and then operationalized in a short amount of time with very few resources. And so I'll just say one thing up front on Corso and any Shopify app that you work with. Um, you know, Picking the right app is one thing. There's a lot of apps that do this post-purchase type capability, and that's true for any capability that you're looking to add or transform. The real value of any of these apps for any size company is the team that's supporting behind the scenes. And so when there's questions, how quickly do those questions get answered? When there's bugs or needs, how quickly do those needs get met? And the Corso team has been an incredible partner. There's a small handful of partners that are super responsive to support and requests, and Corso is one of them. And so the level of support that you get from the Corso team is amazing. Definitely one of the best that I've seen out there.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks, Jason, for that. Yeah, why don't we'll just jump into it since, we only have an hour here, and, I know these things always go faster than you think they're gonna go. But why don't you just walk through your current warranty process a little bit, some of the challenges that you had, and, what were the problems you were trying to solve?
Yeah, so Tupperware's got, sorry, were you passing it over to me to talk
Yeah,
through? Yeah, okay.
yeah, passing it over to you.
Tupperware has a lifetime warranty, super challenging. A lot of brands have had that and changed off of it for lots of reasons. LL Beans was super public, and it's a tricky decision to make for a brand. So we have had a lifetime warranty forever and ever, and we needed a way to manage that. The way we were managing it was through two different custom tools that had all these integration requirements. It was terrible. And so what I wanted a post-purchase platform. And warranty was the first use case that I really needed to tackle. I needed to take these two different custom tools and all of this custom integration and no analytics and put it into a platform that would allow me to enable the full post-purchase needs. And so I went and I looked at all of the usual suspects out there. There's about seven bigger players in the post-purchase space. And I did in-depth analysis on all of them. And when it comes to returns, I'm sorry, when it comes to warranties, Corso was the best. I think they had worked really hard on their warranty product. And so I was able to step into a really nice, capable product and immediately implement it for my use case. It took some configuring and working with the team to, we had to change some of our business processes and to be more efficient. So we didn't implement the old business processes. So any of you that are doing transformation projects, which I think is everybody in digital right now, um, changing the business process and changing the people is much harder than changing the tech. And so we had to work through a couple of iterations of, hey, here's our business process today. Where are the bottlenecks? And then work through those bottlenecks with the teams, change the business process so that we could operationalize the capability with a super capable technology platform. So, yeah, decades of customers. We do support warranty across every channel. We're in physical retail, online, and we have our salesforce, our consultants, the Tupperware ladies that we're famous for, are still a large volume of business. And one of the unique things about us is that, the warranty is a way that our products have been marketed. So, a consultant will go to somebody and say, hey, if you have broken Tupperware, you can redeem it for warranty credit and then buy new stuff. Why don't you let me help you do that? So we don't love that it's a marketing tool because it incurs warranty expense, but it is, and it's a way that people can get new product. And so it's thousands of claims a month that have to be. Some of them are fraudulent, some of them are wacky, and so we have to be able to manage tens of thousands of claims with a very small customer service team, and rely on the technology platform to help us do that job.
Awesome. So how did you, I mean, in your search for all the products, I mean, how did you, I got invited to a Slack channel. I think after you had found Corso and started looking at us, and then you had posted like these three messages in there, and I was like, oh, that's right up our alley. But yeah, what was your search like for finding Corso, and how did you actually come across this?
I was referred to Corso through Shopify, so my MSM told me about Corso and went to the website and saw some of the brands you were working with, and so it kind of like qualified you guys. And my search was extremely time consuming because this is detailed work and it's hard to undo once you have implemented a platform because there's always people in various stages of the returns or the warranty process. And so in order to switch platforms, um, you would have to like let the old platform sunset while you're spinning up the new platform and manage that code over. It's really hard. So this is a big decision. And I met and did demos, probably met two or three times with seven vendors. And so it was a painful process. This is the type of platform that required it. And since we have, a lot of specific requirements around warranty, the due diligence was required. We don't get a lot of returns, honestly. So returns was less important to us, but warranty and warranty management is a super important part of our business. So that's where we focused in on. And Corso was the leader by a long shot in terms of warranties.
Okay, great. Yeah, let's maybe we can just dive maybe a little bit more into the details of what you implemented, how it works for you, and then maybe we'll talk about after that some of the results. We have customers that come to us from a wide variety of different things they sell online with a lot of different warranty policies. Obviously, the lifetime warranty policy that you guys had was, one of the bigger challenges because you had products that were going back so far with, a pretty intense SKU list that was never going to be on Shopify. That's but still needed to come into the system for registration and then still handle that as a customer who purchased something, which is a pretty big challenge, like we talked about here. And then all the different channels that come in, and with a lot of customers, some are hard goods, some customers just have like a satisfaction guarantee type situation, which isn't really a return, but they still want to guarantee their product, even in the, even in the consumables space, right? It's just like, hey, we just want to guarantee our product. And even though there's not a return, we're never going to get anything back. There's nothing to return. So this product can be used in a lot of different ways, but why don't we dive into just some of the details of what you actually implemented and how it works for Tupperware?
Yeah, so Dallin brought up a couple of really good points. So we manufacture our own products and we change colors. We have temporary products. Sometimes we sell in a bundle, sometimes we sell individually. And so we have all kinds of different ways that we sell our products. And so we had to solve, and then the products in Shopify is just the current set of products that are available for sale. So it doesn't reflect the products that are, it doesn't reflect the warrantable products. So if somebody bought a 36-piece bundle, but they're just claiming one bowl, we don't want to look at their order and say, hey, we'll give you a warranty for the whole bundle. We just want to give you warranty for the single bowl. And so we iterated on that a couple of times and came to a really good solution that works really well. There's not a lot of incentive for customers to register their product once they buy it. I know in different, when you buy a television, you register your product because you get ongoing support. When you buy appliances, you register them so you can, sign up for the app and manage your appliances. Tupperware, there's not a whole lot to manage, and there's no software updates of your plastic bowl. And so there's not a lot of incentive to register. And so the registration happens at the time, typically the registration happens at the time of purchase, at the time of the warranty claim. And so we had to figure out how to, you bought a 36-piece set, but you only are claiming this one item. So we have a really good way to essentially it's an Excel file that has, our 2,000 parts, and some of them we don't support anymore. And some of them we do support. We support with a warranty credit that can be used on Shopify, so it comes in the form of a discount. And so there's a pre-qualified list of products that are available for warranty. When you go do the registration, it's easy to find those products. They're searchable several different ways. And so, you have your bowl. You might have forgot that you bought it as a 36-piece set 10 years ago, but you have a broken bowl, so you go find the bowl and take some pictures and click, click, click. And if you pass the fraud scoring and some like customer threshold scoring, then it gets automatically approved and it's in your inbox. So most of the customers, they're only doing one claim in their entire life, and it's low risk, and we just auto approve. So like high customer satisfaction. Whereas before, the tool just took a while. It was clunky. You didn't really know what status it was in. So what we implemented a ton of stuff. At the end, our goal is customer satisfaction. Anytime a customer reaches out to us for anything, it's our opportunity to engage that customer in a way that makes them say, "Oh my gosh, I did this at Tupperware, and it was so easy." Um, and and so we have the list of approved products that are searchable and registerable. We fraud scoring to you can detect weird internet behavior. Setting up customer thresholds. If your claim is over $50, we want to manually approve it. All kinds of rules on what's good for manual approve, what's good for auto approve. We hooked it into Klaviyo, so we were able to send all of our the appropriate messages through Klaviyo, and the events that flow through to Klaviyo allow you to do anything you want. Super cool. We used another app and this is one thing where we iterated on a lot. We used another app to generate a discount within Shopify to facilitate the discount code, and then implement or integrated with Gorgias. It was already integrated with Gorgias, but then just kind of connecting the teams so that everything is clearly visible in Gorgias. And yeah, and when we launched, there's probably a few things I'm forgetting, but everything is wired together out of the box pretty much. And when a customer, the experience from the old platform to the new platform, people love it. And I have had, when we went live, zero complaints, zero issues, zero complaints. It was so much easier than what we had before. People
Awesome.
got exactly what they needed right away. If they were flagged for fraud or flagged for manual review, they knew it, so they weren't, calling and chatting in, hey, what's up with my warranty? They knew the answer, so support tickets went down and satisfaction with warranty specifically went up. So we built a lot of stuff, but my suggestion is just kind of go step by step. Don't try to tackle the whole thing at once, which I always try to do. Take it step by step, and just make sure you understand each of your customers' use case needs, and then just work with the Corso team to say, okay, here's first use case, or prioritize your use cases. Here's the first one. Let's wire that end to end. Second one, third one, and then once you do one or two, then everything else kind of works out.
Yeah, I thought one of the more exciting things that we worked on you with was, this didn't exist 7 or 8 months ago prior to, working with Tupperware on some of these solutions. But one of the things we really iterated through was just how do we resolve these claims in a way that doesn't, completely overtake your customer support team? Because I mean, I'm just looking at the numbers. You guys are doing, thousands and thousands and thousands of registrations and warranty resolutions, and putting that burden on a manual process is, like you said, just, not very realistic in terms of trying to scale and reduce costs and all those things. And one of the things I thought that was really exciting that we developed over the last 6 or 7 months was our API layer and webhooks, to be able to operate at this scale for customers that need to integrate all this with different systems. So I know you had kind of alluded to that with the discount codes that you guys send out through Klaviyo. But a lot of that, it runs on our, the infrastructure we built around, allowing other systems to tie into Corso with our webhooks and APIs. So I don't know if there's anything more you have to say about that on how that's working, but just giving a sense of the scale of operations and resolutions you guys are going through. It's impressive for me to watch anyways.
Yeah, so that was good. Our requirement was unique in how we resolved the warranty claim, discount only. We used to do exchanges, we used to do other stuff, and that logic is super complicated. So it's like embedded into the workflows in any post-purchase provider. They have one way of doing things, and you have to essentially adhere to the workflow that's supported in the platform. And we couldn't do it. It was like, we had several concepts of how we could work around this, and looked at gift cards and looked at warranty, and we looked at a bunch of different options. Our specific requirement is that we wanted to give a discount for a dollar amount, not a percent amount. Percent's easier, but dollar is harder. So in our approved table of products, it's item 1, 2, 3, 4, and it gets a $4 $4 US code and whatever the translation is to Canadian. So markets was another thing that we had to solve for in that as well, which was we just had to work through all the details of that and test it. But we developed a solution where I had a hacky solution where I used, I think, Shopify Flow connectors, Shopify Flow API or something. I can't remember exactly what it's called. But there's Shopify Flow and there's Shopify Flow connectors. So that was like a hacky solution where I was able to have a proof of concept and shared that with the Corso team. And they said, oh, you know what? We can actually develop this new way to support you so that everything's native in the platform. And so what that allowed us to do is now that everything lives in Shopify, we have facts around our warranty program that we never had before because we can just use the Shopify analytics to understand what is the cost of our warranty program, what are our biggest items, is there still wacky behavior that we're not catching? Like everything is right there in Shopify, so you can look at it right in Shopify, or you can connect Claude and just have Claude do the analysis for you and surface any insights. So yeah, everything stayed Shopify native, no custom integration level or custom integration layers, nothing, just everything native to Corso and Shopify, which of course makes it work well with Klaviyo and Gorgias. And so the more you can have that Shopify-centric ecosystem and rely less on external services, the cleaner your data is, and that just helps you accelerate. There's probably more I'm forgetting. Again, like getting back to my first comment, the value of any app is the support that you provide. And so the Corso team, I would talk about our very broken business process, and they would help me with rationale of, hey, well, you might want to think about this, this, and this, in order to enable like a more efficient process. So I was able to go do the business transformation, and then we were able to work together on any bottlenecks on the tech transformation and come and develop really good solutions. And we were patient and worked the details and considered several options, prototyped a few, and then came up with a really good configuration that, again, once we launched, 0 issues, 0 complaints, lower support tickets, higher customer satisfaction. So every result you could imagine.
Yeah, that's great. I think, obviously want to give Logan some time to be able to go through the actual application, see so you can, see what it looks like. But I think, the one thing I just want to emphasize is regardless of the product you sell and the scale of operations, if you just need something for a handful of warranties, it just needs out of the box with registrations or registrations and warranties for, product replacements, gift cards, those come pretty standard, fully integrated into Shopify, but also at the scale of what Tupperware is doing, processing thousands of these things, and just needing a solution that doesn't require a lot of manual support, something that can be automated. We put a lot of that kind of risk analysis, like he mentioned. I mean, we could do webinars on just very small pieces of this and take a ton of time, just of all the things that we did. But yeah, just talking about it's a solution that can work for, I think, a lot of use cases. He talked about not needing necessarily a registration incentive for Tupperware, but certainly for other products, that's a big deal to try to get someone to register, identify more customers, get them into your marketing channels, all those things. And Corso's really good at that. So I'm excited for Logan to go into that. But anything else, Jason, that you wanted to highlight here?
No, I think we covered a lot of ground. If there's any questions, there's a Q&A button, and would love to get questions as Logan is going through demos. I've been working on Shopify stores and e-commerce for 15 years, and I've personally, long time ago, my side hustle. I've always had a corporate gig. My side hustle was building Shopify sites. I probably built 50 Shopify sites myself. And have operated, lots of small, medium, and large Shopify environments. So lots of experience with lots of different tools, and would love any questions that you guys have.
Yeah, really appreciate it, Jason. We
Real, yeah.
Thanks for being very prepared for us and for going through that and working with Corso to launch this solution. I think everything we built for you guys, we built, into the product in general, so it's available for anyone to use. We're very conscientious about that. We don't, we try not to build just one-off custom solutions. We really try to think through it and make sure that, the features are widely available for anybody. So, I guess that's one of the benefits of going through this with Tupperware, that everybody going forward gets the benefit of all those platform features we built for you. So appreciate you being patient with us, as we were working through some of these things and figuring out a solution for you.
Yeah, it's partnership. It's not patience, it's just partnership as with anything that we're all building right now. Everything's changing with AI, and you need really good partners to help you set up your platforms and configure your entire environment. And again, the Corso team helped me with the business process, some other tech integration configurations so that we have a really good overall environment. So they're a player on a team, and we have lots of team members and lots of external team members. I'll say that about Tupperware, not internal team members. We have lots of external team members like the Corso team that help us get there.
All right. Yeah, Logan, let's turn it back over to you.
Yeah, we'll appreciate those words, Jason. And obviously, like just being able to work with individuals like yourself, like we always view these as really close partnerships where we get the chance to, we get to approach and tackle a problem together. And then ultimately the product and what we can create for brands like yourselves and solving those problems just gets, drastically easier as we work together. So yeah, I love going through all this stuff. We even had the first message from Jason that kicked this off into the green light stage. So we threw in a little history for us here to share. And then kind of went through the story. So yeah, I think we kind of covered all these things. I'll share, yeah, we'll go through kind of high level on the product side. And we have a few things to dig into. And honestly, Jason, would love your feedback on some of these as well. Because I think even since you guys have fully enabled, we're constantly adding and iterating and improving the platform. So we'll kind of go high level into some of this stuff. I think one thing I was actually going to show just because, we talked a lot about it, but, Tupperware's page here, this is kind of what it looks like on their side in terms of once they get to the registration. I think I actually should go back one because I think this is probably a more helpful starting point to where when you hit warranty, kind of just to showcase, I guess, how Jason kind of mentioned this, where the experience for your customers are like, yep, it's time for warranty. I have this one item from my 36 in this, bundle that I purchased and I need to warranty it. Well, they'll come here and they'll kick off the process. They'll start their registration. And then Corso has the ability to embed these pages. So this is this is kind of our portal. We can customize and design this to kind of fit the branding. Tupperware is that clean, simple branding, which is really easy and concise, easy to kind of mimic there. So we have some of the styling in here to kind of replicate some of that. The fields that they have in here that they need as part of their registration. And I'll show you how we can kind of customize some of this here and kind of the flow. I'll do it more in my test environment, but just wanted to showcase how Tupperware has this all embedded, and it looks really great how they've done it. So it's really cool. So we'll jump in. There's really four big things I want to cover today. The biggest thing being kind of registrations and warranties as an entire platform or the experience there. But we have some new features: smart registration incentives, marketing consent, and the ability to push into Klaviyo and send those. Jason mentioned being able to do that from a trigger perspective and being able to use that. And then we've made some updates to our Gorgias integration as well, and how that all impacts and kind of ties everything into a registration and warranties platform. And so kind of just wanted to start there. So we'll start and kind of kick off on smart registrations. And really at a high level, what this is when we were working with brands and we were looking at, we're always talking to brands and obviously we live in this world of AI where everyone's very excited to leverage those tools to kind of hopefully provide customers with a better experience. And we kind of found that this was a unique area that we could potentially add a little more value. The one thing on the registration side that we found for certain registrations is that the only real pain point is that customers have to enter all their information in, and sometimes that can be a long list of fields and things that people need to enter. And then they also need to go through and be able to select which product they need to determine as part of the registration. And so what we've rolled out is the option to be able to enable a smart registration flow, which basically turns the registration on its head. So rather than having them go through the flow and filling all the information out and then providing a proof of purchase, we just kick it off to say, hey, let's go ahead and add, go ahead and upload your proof of purchase. We'll pull as much information out as we can. And, you're not going to get everything potentially, but depending on the quality of the receipt or the proof of purchase, you might be able to pull a lot of information out. Not only will that fill in the registration details, but it will also help us on identifying products. So I'll jump into my test store here and kind of showcase what this would look like. We'll come down in here to kind of my registrations page. And again, kind of a high level view of this. This is just my test store here. Well, let's hide this preview here so you guys don't have to see that. And what you'll see is, again, this block right here is just an app block within Shopify. So we can drop this specifically for registrations, which is can be added on any specific page on your site. So you can see here, I have a little registration page, similar to what, Tupperware and other brands have had. And you'll see that we kind of start this with, uploading a file. I'll carry this over and hopefully, can you see this when I drag this over here, Dal?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. So this is an example of a receipt that I'm uploading, right? Just to kind of give you a sense for what this is. I might be uploading a receipt from Amazon. Maybe I have a Costco receipt, whatever I have, right? The customer will have the ability to upload a file. So if I come in here really quick and I just say, cool, let's actually just take this and drag it over. I can upload my file here and I can click Analyze with AI and we'll actually go through and pull and extract all the details we can from that. Obviously, an Amazon order might be a best case scenario because you're going to have a lot of customer information. Maybe a receipt from a store might not have the customer's information, but it will help with products, which is what we found is one pain point with brands is that, oftentimes once you're pulling in a product, the customer needs to be able to identify which product they're registering. And so this kind of helps with that process is it'll pull some of this in. So you'll see here it pulled in, my name, the name, the address, some of the details here. It's automatically pulled in the purchase location. So it'll help with those channels that you set up. Obviously, if you're selling outside of Shopify, you'll have all your different channels that you can kind of set up within Corso and list those out here. So it's going to pull that information in here. We also have this ability to kind of collect marketing consent where the customer can toggle this on or off depending on what they want to do. And we'll pull all this information in, just like Jason had mentioned, it'll go into a registration created event in Klaviyo, and you can use that to trigger emails off of. So you'll have those people. We also push this information into Shopify. So the Shopify list will actually show that customer as subscribed. So we push that information in there as well. So you're able to kind of make sure that you have consent from those customers and you can leverage anyone who's registered to be able to market out or send upsell emails or different things like that. Once I click next here, what we'll see next is it'll actually pull in. So now that we've got kind of our proof of purchase has already been uploaded, it's actually going to suggest some products based on what was in that receipt. So you'll see here, it's going to do its very best to say, cool, based on the product name, details, price, variant, color, anything that it pulls from the receipt, it will try its best. If it's a really high percentage chance that it's a match, it'll kind of give the best match there where the customer can come in and accept that. If it's a likely match, I think this receipt had both a hoodie and a runner hat, but I think the sizing wasn't on there. So you'll see that, some of these will say likely match. I can view these pages of different suggestions that Corso's provided me. And then if it's still not right, I can still come down and search for the product just like normal. But it gives like a first pass at saying, cool, like, are we able to identify some of those products a little easier, make it more simple for your customers? They come through here and are able to kind of select those different products and then go ahead and submit their registration. So that's kind of the process there of, some of the smart registration functionality specifically to be able to pull as much information as we can, request the proof of purchase up front, get as much information as we can. We still give the customer plenty of ways to still just manually add the details to the registration if they'd like, or to go through and, select different products if they weren't correct. But we are finding that with the brands who have this enabled, it's simplifying the process and they're seeing, higher registration rates. So it seems to be working pretty well. The next thing we'll kind of get into here, what you'll see is this is the registration has been created page. So from here, you have a couple of different paths. We have this enabled right now, which kind of gets into this next feature that we've rolled out, which is our incentives. So you have the ability to set up within our rules engine in different scenarios. You can set it up based on any number of different conditions you might have to apply an incentive based on, the registration being created. So you could, in theory, set this up to say, cool, we're going to offer a 10% discount if you register these set of products or any of our products, whatever that looks like, you can do that. And so it's completely dynamic. It's rule based, so you can determine when incentives would be applied, when they wouldn't be applied. The customer then can actually come directly in here. They can copy this and save it and use it for later, and we'll send this over via email as well. So they don't necessarily have to use it here, but we can set up the redeem page to go to a specific page. So you're able to kind of leverage registrations as a tool for upsells. And we'll be able to kind of attribute any of those upsells based on the discount code that was applied or created by Corso to be able to say, cool, we're kind of seeing this upsell, revenue caused by customers coming in and registering their products, redeeming these discount codes and using them. But then you'll also see that they can start a claim from here, right? You can choose whether you want to allow them to do that, or maybe you just want them to go to your Corso warranty portal on a different page. They have this registration number here that they're able to leverage. So they can come in, they could copy this and they could take this over, but they also can just start a claim directly from here as well. And so I'll kind of show you both paths really quickly because I think they are both pretty cool. So what we have, if the customer does click redeem, what it's going to do is, because we have this rule set up, we just have this directing them to the essentials page, right, for the product. So then the customer is just on your site and they can come through here and add any product that they want to add. Looks like there's already one product added. You'll see that there's just the discount code is automatically applied. So we kind of handle all that for you. We'll direct them to the page that you want to direct them to. So you can kind of make sure it's a curated experience. If they register, a t-shirt, then maybe you're going to send them to the apparel page and you're going to make sure that they, go through that flow and they have a discount code that applies. And they're able to kind of go through the flow, check out, and that kind of is going to be mapped to upsell revenue generated by the registration. So it's really cool that it all works in flow. And again, they can copy this and use this in a different time. You can set all of that logic in the Corso admin. It works exactly the same as how you'd see it in Shopify, setting up those discount codes, and you can set up the expiration date and all of that good stuff to make sure that it applies in the way that you want it to. So pretty straightforward in the setup, but that's kind of what it looks like in real life. We'll jump back in here and we'll kind of take the example now that we've kind of closed out that registration, it's been created. If I'm a customer, I'll have that registration number, and that's what I can come back in and use as a warranty claim. So if I were to look this up here, this is kicking up that, if I were to have clicked start a claim, this would be that next page that I would have gotten to. But I can also come through the flow and do this at a later time, right? If I register my product, and we have brands doing this different ways, right? Some brands push very heavily on registering the product immediately because you have your proof of purchase and you have your details, get that added to the system, and then you can come back and it will be able to be warranted, in the future. Then we have others, kind of more aligned with Tupperware, where it's like, no, the registration is just a means to having and creating the warranty. So when you need to warranty it, go ahead and register and warranty the product. So either path kind of works. We support either way. But once you get into the warranty path here, just a really high level of what the warranty, we have this kind of all set up to be completely configurable, all the way down to reason details, custom fields. They can all be very dynamic based on the product. And the biggest benefit here is that, one, you want the questions to be relevant. We have lots of brands selling lots of different products. So you're going to have unique questions, especially on the warranty side. We find that, the reason, details, and custom fields are particularly important. So they come through here, they're able to set up, and select any of these very specific reasons. That's dynamic. It'll provide, the custom kind of reason details that follow from that reason that was selected. And then kind of coming down here, we also have this page, which allows you to kind of collect any additional information that you would need in order to determine whether a warranty is going to be eligible or not, right? The idea on the Corso side is we want to collect all the information you need up front from your customer so that you don't have to come back and do a back and forth with email or notifications or messaging or anything like that. So you can configure as many of these kind of questions that you may need. You can do text fields, dates, open, multi-select, whatever that looks like there. And then, obviously you also have the ability to kind of request specific images if you have, unique image requirements when it comes to, one of the front, one of the back, one of the damaged area, whatever that looks like there. So the customer can come in here, upload an image, and then kind of proceed here. They can submit this for all their items on the order or just the one. We always confirm the address as part of the warranty claim because obviously we want to, with warranties, with the time period or the eligibility window being a lot larger, there might be a higher chance of them moving. And then they can go through and submit the request. So that kind of takes us through the bulk of, you're able to go through that registration. That was something purchased on Amazon, but I've been able to go through the flow. I went through the incentive flow there, but then also kind of filing a warranty claim. So we'll look in here. I don't see any questions or anything yet. We'll kind of just keep going through here because I know we are, there's plenty of things to kind of cover. We'll jump in next to kind of managing some of this on the Gorgias side. I'll showcase like kind of what some of these details look like in Gorgias and some of the changes we've made there. And then I also want to show kind of the Klaviyo and the marketing side to make sure that, you can kind of see what some of that looks like as well. And maybe before I do any of that, what I will do is I'll jump into our admin because I do know as part of what Jason had kind of mentioned, like obviously the admin portion here, there's a lot of benefits to being able to obviously one, collect all the data and the information, but then being able to manage it in one system is also, a big part of what Corsa does and what we spend a lot of time on building. And so when you come in here, you'll see obviously returns and shipping protection is kind of outside of this conversation. But when you come in here, you have all of your registrations listed out here. You can view these, filter them down, view the information as needed. We'll see this is the registration that we just created. And so just at a really high level, you're always able to see the products that were registered, the proof of purchase, all the information that was submitted from the customer's details. We have timeline entry, so if you need to manage these in any type of way, you can do that. You can cancel registrations if there's a scenario where the proof of purchase just was, fault. It wasn't correct. They're just sending a picture of a rock or something. Obviously, you can cancel those and make it so that those wouldn't be eligible for warranties. We show if there was a scenario where smart registrations was used and they did do that, we kind of display that. We also display discount incentives and if that was used and things like that. The other thing that's really crucial here, though, is that if they did use that registration to create a warranty claim, we link those within the claims, right? So the registration is listed here. If I hit the warranty, it's going to take me over to the warranties tab. And now I'm in the warranty where I can manage this, right? So I can see all the information, what they actually selected for the warranty claim. I can see things like my claim risk, the proof of purchase from our registration, that's listed here. So I have all of the details that come from the registration when a customer creates it. So it just, again, it keeps all of this in one place. You don't have to manage it, in a bunch of different systems. And it makes it a lot easier for you to kind of be able to use this. And then, to Jason's point, there's a lot of things we can do on being able to manage these effectively. We can set these up to autocomplete in different scenarios. We can set up, different resolutions. You have full control. That is one thing Corso does. We don't want you to have to go to different systems and leave Corso to manage different things. We want to keep it pretty straightforward. So you can come in here, you kind of have the ability to do anything on the claim as you need. Approve it with any of these resolutions, whether it's just giving them a refund or a gift card, or you can replace the item. We also have a lot of brands leveraging kind of our repair functionality, which is you might send them a shipping label to have them send it to a repair location, which we can kind of support. The replacement order just allows you to come in here and literally just build an order. So maybe you're out of stock, or maybe there's a reason you're not going to give them the hat back, but you can come in here and say, oh, we're just going to give them a hoodie. It'll pull all that information in directly from Shopify. It pulls the inventory over from Shopify, and you can build that order, create it, and finalize the claim straight from here. So again, full customization, ability to kind of manage those exactly how you need. A lot of flexibility within this platform here. But I think what we'll jump into next here is you'll see here that we do have the ability when a claim is created within Corso. Something new that we've rolled out is kind of working a little bit better with Gorgias. And so we have this here now where you'll see this in the timeline where if you set up an automation to create a ticket within Gorgias anytime a claim is created, then you can do that. You can create a ticket and it'll actually just create, you can actually link out to your Gorgias experience and it'll show you some of the details here. So within the rule, you can determine what that body message looks like. It can pull over details from the claim. So, this is just user and email, what type of claim it is, which is known as a warranty, and the number. So this actually just pulls in. So essentially in this scenario, the customer has submitted a warranty claim. If I use Gorgias as a brand, I now can just see this ticket be created for my customer Kogan Lotto, and I can go in and see that and manage it. I'll be able to see that something was created. And now, if I come down into the Corso widget over here, I can come through here and kind of manage this. We've drastically simplified our integration here, so it looks a lot more clean. Kind of how this works is you'll have your orders that you can jump in and take action on, create a return or warranty claim. It'll take you straight there and deep link into the admin and help you get started on creating a claim if you need to. But then you can see any returns that you have listed out, and you'll also see any registrations. And so this is something we've added a little more on the registration side is I can manage registrations directly in Corso now, sorry, directly in Gorgias now. So if there's a scenario where the proof of purchase comes in, I can view that here, open up this proof of purchase. I can see that it's valid or it's not. And then in one click, I can bounce back and say, you know what, I'm going to cancel that registration. They sent the wrong thing. So being able to have a lot more flexibility directly within Gorgias, you can even, change this and actually add a timeline note to the reason why you're canceling it, right? Was the wrong proof of purchase or whatever it might be. So you have a lot more visibility, and then you can see some details already from the registration as well. And so you'll see all of that detail kind of listed out a lot more clearly within Gorgias, which we found, for the brands using Gorgias, Gorgias has always been, I think one of our first partners when it came to kind of working with CRMs, and we were able to build out some really great functionality, and we've been able to just take this and level it up since kind of our initial integration, which we're really excited about because it gives brands, a little more control for the reps who work primarily out of Gorgias, so you don't have to do quite as much back and forth between Gorgias and the admin there within Corso and Gorgias. The last thing I'll cover super quick, and then I know we're kind of coming up on time, so we'll see. I think we had a handful of a couple of Q&A questions. We'll try to get to a couple of those that were submitted previously. The last thing I really just wanted to make sure that I showed was just, we do have a direct this integration with Klaviyo, and obviously for everyone on the call and brands, there's always like a professional, within a brand who runs and manages their Klaviyo experience. You all could walk circles around me when it comes to building some of these flows out and different things you can do within Klaviyo. But I think what is important to kind of point out here, let me jump back real quick and we'll just create a flow from scratch just to showcase what we kind of have here when it comes to the registration and anything on the warranty side as well. So if we just say, this could be registration created. You could set up any different number of flows. I know Jason probably has some really, really cool flows that they've kind of worked through and built out. In your environment, this would just be Corso. It would have our logo. I'm on a staging environment just because I don't have a real Shopify account. But these are all the different actions that we have, or the different triggers that you're able to leverage from the Corso system. And obviously, depending on what you're using, you'll have some of these and you won't have others. We won't show any of these if you're not using some of the functionality. But looking at these items here, you have the ability to say, cool, if the claim's created, you'll be able to break that out by whether it's a warranty claim or a return if you're using either of those. Registration created is a great example in this scenario where maybe you want to send them out something based on them creating a registration, and you can kind of add them to those, to a different campaign or a different list. So when you come in here, we can add trigger filters, and we add pretty much any of the details that we have from those events are added here. And so you're able to leverage any of those things from when the registration was created, marketing consent details, if an incentive was provided, you have all of those details listed out here, doing things by product, by SKU. I think even Jason actually gave us some good recommendations on some of these things around product details, adding some of that into the registration event. So really any of these things, you can build these in, something as simple as saying, if there is a created on date, then let's go ahead and throw them into a flow. You can add them to specific lists, any of those kind of things that you want to do within Klaviyo, but you have access to all of those details, and then you can use any of the event variables that Corso has. So, the customer details, product details, order details, anything that we have, we expose within Klaviyo that you can use within your emails and in your flows as triggers. So we have a full integration here on the Klaviyo side, which gets really powerful when you are registering products. You can add those to those upsell lists and market back to those customers and make sure you're able to kind of get them the benefits they might need from being registration customers. So it's a ton of information, and I appreciate everyone kind of listening in. I think with that, Dow, Jason, any thoughts or questions on your guys' end? I can look over here at some of the questions. I was looking through the questions that we had collected prior to the call, and frankly, we've answered, as I'm scanning through here, we've answered a lot of them. Things like, what does the process look like? Can you handle different channels? Um, I think the one that was interesting that I saw was, what does like implementation time look like? I think Jason, that's probably an interesting question. Maybe on your end, I know it was a bit of a, maybe this is the one question we can answer and then we can call it so we get everyone out of here in 3 minutes. But obviously for you guys, there was a lot that you set up, and you've kind of got a very complex way that you've done all these things. And so maybe on your end, what did it look like, for Tupperware?
Yeah, so we had to again transform our business processes as well as the technology. And so that's a lot of change to manage. The business process took more time. Um, I can't remember when we kicked off the discussions. It was sometime last fall. We could have gone live within a month. Even with some of the business transformation that we had to do, it would have been a little risky, but I would plan a couple months. The majority of the work is on the side of the brand to really map your use case and your user needs, and then just check off, what is your process? What's the registration process? What's the claim warranty process? What are the safeguards you want to put in place? How do you want to credit back to the person? That usually has, if you're exchanging or doing different things, that's some work. And then wiring up Gorgias, Klaviyo, even handling, we're live with markets. We're live US and Canada, one expansion store using
Yeah.
Shopify markets, so handling that. All that stuff's super simple. Why all the wiring is there. I think the majority of the work is being really clear up front on your business processes and not having any gotchas at the end. If you do your homework up front, then the technical side of it is super easy. And a lot of brands have really good business processes. And so if you have a good business process in place, weeks, is probably generous. And if you need transformation, then, a couple months, but the majority of the work is on your side.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're spot on there. And we found like, yeah, there's certainly some brands who are on a much, it just depends on what processes you already have around this, right? We've set up a lot of brands who are like, we want to start getting into this. And in those scenarios, it's like, well, great, let's just get what information do you want to collect and let's enable it, right? And then you're able to start collecting. And so we've flipped people live, days, right? Where it's like, oh, we just make sure the questions are set up and we have those custom fields and the things you want to, set up and we'll embed it on your site. We do take on, we definitely approach implementation from a white glove perspective. We work really closely with Jason, and you guys just built this dialed, very elaborate system, which, it was just fun to be a part of, frankly, to kind of work together on a lot of that and helping you guys get that all set up. And then you have kind of the much more simple approach where it's like, yeah, we just want to collect the information. And then if they go through that, great, we can, send them down the warranty path. And that's pretty straightforward for us to set up as well. So I definitely would say like what we're seeing is it's, yeah, it certainly seems to be a case by case, but to Jason's point, like we're always very, quick to be able to kind of work with anyone, and we'll work with you directly to make sure that we can do it as quickly on your timetable when you're ready to kind of go through with it. So, well, cool. I think we'll call it there. Again, Jason, appreciate the time. We really do. I think it's been really awesome to hear your story and how this has worked from the Tupperware side of things, the Tupperware brand. I think next steps, yeah, like everyone here, We hope this has been useful. We'll send out a follow-up directly after this. It'll have a link to schedule time with myself. Like Jason said, like very kindly, like if there's questions, I'm sure he's open to answering things and we can always connect people. He's always been super generous in that way. So appreciate him and his time and willingness to do that. But we'll send a follow-up to everyone who joined. We'll have the recording if you want to be able to reference it. And then we will also make sure there's a link in there so that people can schedule time if you want to discuss more of this specific to your brand's case. But I think with that, we'll kind of call it there. Appreciate everyone joining. And yeah, it's been fun. Thanks, Jason.
Thanks, Logan. Thanks, Dallin.
Yep, thank you.
Appreciate it,
Bye.
everyone. See you later.